Hello, fellow humans, and welcome to this episode of Game Developer Plays. It's the first such episode, and hopefully there will be many more. But today, we are going to be playing Hyperlight Drifter, an old indie game from way back in the 20-teens. I know, so long ago. It's like 8 years or something at the time of making this video. And we're going to play this game, and we are going to take a look at it, see if we can take any lessons away from a game design perspective, from a game development perspective, and we're going to see what we can learn and hopefully make our own game development experiences better in the process. Also, this game's really cool and I'm excited to share it with you guys. So I'm going to jump right in. You'll notice that I am playing on New Game Plus, or I will be, because I have... oh, I already have a New Game Plus one. Hold on. I have beaten the game before, which is what made me want to make this video. If you don't already know, this game is kind of halfway Souls-like, halfway Metroidvania. And it's obviously got this beautiful pixel art. Wait, what is this? Oh, that's the map. Okay. So I have I have just barely started. If you want the storyline... So this kind of stuff is how it tells all the stories. The storyline, the intro... You know what? Hold up. You guys need to see the intro video. Hold on. We're going to go watch the intro video so you can have the context, because it's awesome and it's very well designed. QA. Wow. I do think it's funny. The order of the lights does not match the order you go in the game. But I'm sure that was more of an artistic decision. Sound design is so good. Anything about pixel art, then you know how long this must have taken to make. Maybe it's less time if you're like a professional at it or something, but so much work goes into these little clips. I'm still not exactly sure what the dog is all about, by the way. Other than I know he's like a good guy or whatever. I love that. The sense of scale you get. Also, whoever made the pixel art on this, you done good. This game is actually the reason I fell in love with pixel art. So if you know me at all, you know that in games I love ambiance and I love atmosphere. I just listen. Thunder, the lightning. I would love to know if that lightning is like a pre-made animation, like a pre-rendered animation, or if it's like randomly generated at different places, procedurally generated. You know, I never noticed until right now either that the animations are pretty low frame rate, which is actually really smart. It means that it's going to be a lot less effort to make the animations, which is nice if you're a relatively small indie team, which this is. And it's also it also, I think, gives a really interesting feel that fits the game very well. But that's how the game starts. Actually, I'll go through the whole intro part so that you can see it. Bumper to heal. I am playing on an Xbox controller because, in my opinion, that's the easiest way to play. Just like with Dark Souls, playing on anything else is... Playing on a keyboard with this kind of game is just painful to me. Your dash, as far as I know, does not actually give you invincibility frames, by the way. And again, the sound design. I think the sound design is probably one of the coolest things in this whole game. I love the sounds. I feel like I feel the sense of scale of this underground, I don't know, laboratory thing? It's not really a laboratory. Whatever this would be, this underground place. I just noticed the background. Notice that the bullets have a little bit of scatter on them. That's pretty easy to do if you ever want to in a game. Whoops. You basically, a lot of engines will have a way to generate a random direction in a cone. I know Unreal does, I'm sure Unity does too. Oh, whoops. I literally just tried to use a move I haven't unlocked yet because it's a brand new game. Whoa. What is happening? The screen moves here, which makes me think I might be able to go somewhere. But I guess not. Whoa. Actually, I might have gotten stuck. Oh no. Okay, there we go. There we go. That's funny. There is a lot of that kind of stuff in this game too. It's kind of cool. So they did a really good job, honestly, with the edges and stuff. A lot of time when it's like, oh, I wonder if I could go there, you actually can, and then a lot of the time there will be hidden stuff there, which is a really nice game design thing. Keeps the player interested and gives them something to do, rewards them for exploration and creativity. And actually, this is kind of an example of that. So this right here is, I think, very clever. So they have this glowing square, which naturally is going to draw your eye. It's also like right in the middle of the God Ray, which we'll get to in a second. But this little glowing square, you naturally run up to it, and the screen moves up as if there's more stuff up here. And so it naturally makes you wonder, how do I get over there? And then the only other thing you can see is that, let me point it to it with the mouse. Can I do that? I can't right now. So in that direction that I'm aiming, that little, I don't know, pillory looking thing with the little lights on it, that is a console, but you don't know that yet at this point in the game because it's the tutorial. But then they've got the God Rays here and all the little squares pointing you in the direction you need to go. A little ladder thing. By the way, I love the animation on the ladder and the dashes, like the after images. Off the top of my head, I don't know how to do that exactly. And another thing, they made this in Game Maker Studio, which to me is very impressive. I use Unreal Engine just because it's the only engine I've found that is intuitive to me and like easy to use. I've messed around with Game Maker. I have no idea how they would do this in Game Maker. In Unreal Engine, I could imagine doing like a particle effects thing. You can make particle effects on a static mesh, so if you made static meshes of the character in different poses, you could just leave those behind as particles. I don't know if that's the most efficient way, but that's the first one that comes to my mind. But I almost wonder if they are creating other, not exactly instances of a player, but basically instances of the same mesh, or right, it's not a mesh in this, but the same, I guess it would just be an animation actually as I'm thinking about it, because they probably handmade all these animations. But if you wanted to automate making them. Also, as a side note, this, I'm not entirely sure why they felt the need to block off going back that way. Maybe it's just to make sure you know you can jump off some ledges. That would make sense. But yeah, the afterimages things are really cool. And I would love to know exactly how they did it. But as I'm thinking about it, given the way this game looks, I'm sure they just hand drew it and it's just an animation that plays. Also, if by some happenstance, the people who made, or at least one person, anyone who helped make this game, because actually a lot more people helped make it than you would expect, unless you know how many people it takes to make games. If any of you are watching this, I would love to have more of a conversation with you about the making of this game. Because I love that kind of stuff, and I think that kind of knowledge sharing is just really cool. Also, that sound effect when you see the city for the first time, so good. So, and that's why I'm saying the sound design is really good on this game. Also, as a side note, these little like overlook areas, which Hades has these too, they're just so cool. They really give you a sense of scale and make you feel like you're part of a whole world. And I love it. And it's also just a really cool way to either see how far you've gone or how far you're going. Do I have a map yet? I don't have a map yet. I love the little birds too. All those little creatures. Those are little touches that you don't have to add, but the fact that they did is just really cool. I love the reverse rain too. That's just so cool. I would love to know how they did it. I wonder if it's a particle effect or if it's something else. Oh, I should make this particle effect in Unreal Engine. That would be cool. Let me know in the comments if you want to see that video. Also, I love the character design too. I had not noticed this before, but that sound that you just heard is the sound that you hear, I believe, when you die. My man, the red armor guy. I like him as a character. He's cool. The character design is also really good in this game too, in my opinion. Oh, this is his house. I did not realize that. Okay. So that's the intro sequence. I feel like we can learn a lot just from that tutorial. It's not really in your face. You don't actually have to follow any of the instructions, except for a couple, which feel very natural to follow, like using the gun to shoot the little platform maker pillar thing. I don't feel like it handholds you too much. It's kind of like the Dark Souls tutorial, where it's like, hey, here's a thing you can do, and then there's an obstacle that you kind of need to do that thing to go past. But that tutorial, compare that to, I think that tutorial, the whole thing took less time than Skyrim's intro. Like, you are done with the tutorial and playing the game in this game. By the time in Skyrim, you would be starting the tutorial. So, and I think that is a symbol of good design. And then these little pictures are how they communicate pretty much everything in the game, which I think is really clever for just the feel of the game. Voice acting would feel weird in this game. But it is funny. One of my friends, and I'll put a link to his video down below. One of my friends played this game at my recommendation, and he got so frustrated with it. And part of it was he was very confused. And the thing is, I think in this game, in games like this, now game developers can correct me, but you're kind of supposed to be a little confused and overwhelmed at first. And I think the point is they throw a bunch of information at you that you're not really supposed to understand yet. And you gain understanding of it as you go through the game. Kind of like how in Outer Wilds, the whole point is learning the game. I think it's a fantastic game design choice, because I personally hate being handheld in video games. Obviously, it's going to depend on your target audience and what your particular goals are. Also, I would love to know whether they do the mirror by duplicating you or by some other method, because usually that mirror thing is actually another you that just copies your commands, but in reverse with up and down. And so there's actually a second room over there. That is probably how they did it, because I think that's the easiest way to do that. It's just a fun little thing. Also, this is just cool. Like, they've got a light switch. There's no need to have a light switch, but I think it's cool. Like, it shows you that it's a way to show you that interacting with tiny things actually does have merit. And this is the fast travel system. It took me forever to figure that out, but I guess you can't really. Oh no, sorry, it didn't take me forever to figure out that you could warp there. Exactly how it worked and stuff, I think took me a while. And you can see that it's a very subtle guidance that they give you. Some clever things here just design-wise, and none of this is super obscure or anything. You can't tell this, by the way, but my controller is vibrating when I stand on this, which is actually an interesting touch I hadn't noticed before. Just another way to let you know that this is important. So these being shaped like arrows is, I think, very smart, because if they weren't shaped like arrows, it might not be obvious that to do the thing related to this symbol, you have to go in this direction. Some people would think of it, some people wouldn't. You will notice these are the things that they showed us in the little picture. So that's the same diagram. And again, I just love the after images. But, oh, I forgot, this is New Game Plus, I have all my stuff. So, let's see. I'm gonna just give you guys a little brief tour of each of the locations. I don't think I can go down here until I've beaten all 3 of the other ones. Also, that's a gun shop. You got grenade shop. Sword and dash shop. I want to show you how the shops work. So I love that you learn sword stuff from a sword master. So you just got this stuff you can buy. I believe I've already got it because it's New Game Plus. But the shops really don't give you a lot of guidance on exactly what you're, like, buying and stuff. Also, see the bar in the top left? That's a stamina bar. It took me so long to realize that was the thing. Because you really don't notice it until you get the multi-dash, and then all of a sudden, or any of the special dash abilities, like that one, or that one, which it wasn't obvious what they did because there's no enemies to hit with them. Oh, knocked a little guy off the cliff. But the stamina bar, I find it very interesting. They don't even mention it. Yeah, so here's another thing with the arrows. It's very clear now. You have to do something north, east, sorry, is that west? That's west. North, west, and east in order to get through here. Even if what that thing is not very clear, it's not that hard to figure out where you're going or what you're doing, as long as you put a little mental effort into it. But you also don't have to understand exactly what they're talking about. Also, this is interesting. The little button here, let's get around there. This is a good example of how they hide things kind of in plain sight. And when you first see that, it's not clear at all what that is. But when you collect several of them, it becomes a little more obvious. You don't necessarily know what to do with them. I think they're called, like, gearboxes or something. Do I have any of these? No, I still have to find those. Is that a health pack? Yeah, these are how the conversations are. So it looks like he got mugged when he came into town. I don't know why. Ouch. Little robot guy. Lady with the flowers. I like all the little interesting characters too. And then you find things like this, where it's like, ooh, I wonder what's there. But you have to do the thing on this area first. So I find it interesting too, you've got these red cliff areas, which I can only assume are like bloody or something, that are right outside of the town in every direction. But then if you go through that area, you very quickly get to more of a regular biome. And there's a different biome on each side, because what's the fun if you're not exploring new places? That was a cliff. Oh yeah, New Game Plus, you only have 2 health. Just realized that's going to be super tough. This is going to be very hard. You may see me die a lot. I love this juxtaposition right here. The water on one side, the death and blood on the other. It makes you wonder what the heck is going on. Anything down here? And then it's like this oops. This transition here. And now all of a sudden we're in this lush, like, swampy temple area. You got these paintings here. Yeah, it's like all these temples. And the contrast is enormous. Oh, yeah, yeah. And that tells you about the boss. I think one of my favorite things about this game, personally, is how abstract everything is. And it's abstract without being... Oh, I missed. It's abstract, I think, in a way that makes the focus more on exploration than on instructions. So if you look at this map, this is actually an accurate map, believe it or not. But it's not entirely clear what's going on. And there are different sections that if you're in that section, I think it's each screen basically that you're on. When you're in a particular screen, it just puts you in the middle of that screen. So right now I'm on this screen. If I go over here, actually, when I go over here, if I'm here, 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 or here, that whole area, my little token will just appear here, regardless of where exactly I go. So you don't have a thing that tells you exactly where you are. You just know approximately where you are. And the thing you use to figure out where you are is abstract and kind of vague. It has all the information you need, but it's not super clear. And because of that, you really have to focus on exploration in a way that you don't have to in games that have a mini-map, a compass, and tell you exactly where you are in relation to everything on the map. I'm focusing really hard right now because I only have one health. As a side note, these little golden things, when you get 4 of them, you can use them to buy an upgrade. Well, 4 of them together become the currency you use. Doesn't mean you'll be able to afford it. I can't remember where the thing was. Okay. Whew. That was a guess. One thing also to note, this is actually a really smart design thing. So as you can tell, there's a lot of platformy stuff in this game. And as you can tell, you can't always see the platforms. So one really cool thing that they did, and I don't know off the top of my head how they do this, but I think it's really cool. And there's a number of different ways you can solve the problem, is if you are a little bit off, that I was pushing directly left. Oops. Yeah, I forgot. If you point at a ledge for too long, you will fall off. But if you miss the platform by just a little bit, or if you would overshoot it, then it actually adjusts for you. Because notice, look how far my dash is. It's pretty far. Actually, that's very far. If I go here and I dash, my dash should take me into the water on the other side, but it just puts me kind of in the middle of the platform. And here again, well, I guess that one actually is not a great example. But you'll be able to see that a lot as I dash. And that's a really cool way that they put in, the developers put in, to make the game not so brutally punishing. I'm not going to bother getting that. Not so brutally punishing that you just hate everything. Oops, I mistimed that. I'm probably going to die a few times on this. But it's a really cool thing that they put in to make life in the game a little bit easier, but not super easy, just a little less frustrating for the times when you're doing really complex platforming stuff and you feel like you missed it by just a millimeter. It's like, no, if you'd missed by just a millimeter, then, okay, there we go. If you had missed by just a millimeter, then it would have locked onto the stage. So when you mess up, it's because you messed up. It's not just arbitrary, the game doesn't like you, if that makes sense. It's kind of like how in Halo, and actually most shooter games, there's a little bit of an aim assist, so you feel less dumb. Games help you play in so many little ways, and the best ones you don't really feel. I didn't notice the dash, like, ledge assistance until probably, I don't know, 10 or 15 hours into the game. When one time I thought I was about to die, and then I didn't because it kind of magnetized me to the ledge. And it's just nice. It's a nice effect. A very good quality of life thing. Also, these elevators are fun. He eased in. Did you see that? It eased in. So, like, and I guess eased out too. Slows down at the end. That makes it feel so much more alive than if you just have like a linear animation. There are all sorts of videos on YouTube about easing in and out of animations, by the way. I like how different each section feels too. Also, as another side note, the coughing up blood thing happens whenever you're on the right track. As far as, say whenever you're on the right track. The first time you go to a spot that is important for the story, and they want you to keep going, you cough up blood like that, and it's their way of letting you know, don't worry, I know everything is vague and you're confused, but you are on the right track. It's a really subtle way to keep you going. I don't know if it's subtle per se, but I like it. I think it's very clever. And here we've got the first one of these. I forget what they're called, modules or something. But these are the things we saw the diagrams about before. You may have noticed that they make like a pulsing sound. Another way to naturally draw you toward it. And also something cool, the lights go out sometimes when you pull those up, which I just think is neat. And this is like those dudes over there. I have no idea. That's the only time in a dungeon in this whole game that I've seen random NPCs walking around that weren't trying to kill me. It's kind of fun. Oh, one other thing about the map that I just think is interesting here. That aqueduct over there, that's what these are. For the longest time I thought these were roads I was supposed to get on, but they're just aqueducts. So it's even the decorations are on the map. It's a very accurate map. It's just a little vague. Which sounds like an oxymoron when I say it out loud. And here is a fast travel place. Fast travel things also heal you, which is nice. But they do not give you med packs. I'm going to go ahead and show you guys the other two biomes. I will not be getting to all of the teleportation pads though, because some of them take a while to get to. I just want you to see how cool this is. Oh! I just forgot. I want to show you one other thing. Also, teleport animations, super cool. Seriously, their artists did a very good job. And if you're into pixel art, studying how other people do it and looking at how they make things feel alive, super useful. Like, look at these waterfalls. There's nothing moving here. They just have little lines going down. But you can tell they're waterfalls, and because of the sound, you can feel it. And they've got little, I don't know what those are, frogfish? Frogs, water squirrels? So one thing, that door down there, obviously I can't get there right now. And if you remember from the tutorial, we've seen these before. And these, we know, are usually walls that we can make go away. So there's probably a button somewhere that makes these walls go away. And lo and behold, right there, there is a console, just like we saw in the tutorial. So you can see if I can get down there, then I can make this travel route easier. And again, it's just, they have so many little things that are really good game design because they help the player to progress in the story and know where to go, know what to do. And it really makes progressing through this game easy despite the vague storytelling and lack of handholding. Maybe not easy. Maybe a better word is natural. The progression feels very natural for the most part. But that door, notice that it has the little triangle things, and if you've played the game before, then you already know this. But that's the thing I pulled out of the ground a minute ago. Once I get 3 of those, I can open it up, and you can see in the top left corner on the map screen, it tells me how many I have. So it's like the symbols that they use are super vague, but they are everywhere. And so you kind of, over time, you just kind of learn what everything is by osmosis just from being around it so much. Which is really cool, because that's also how we learn language in real life. If you want to learn a language, the best way is to be around it all the time. And specifically, and this is just an interesting linguistics thing, you learn a language most efficiently when you know part of what is said, but not all of it. I want to say the percentage is like 60% understanding. So if someone says a sentence and you understand, more than half of it, then your brain gets really curious and essentially starts storing information about that language, and it helps you learn the language quicker. And I think each game has a language as well. Games like Call of Duty don't develop a language because they just spell it out for you in the tutorial. They say, this is the button you press here, go here, do this, do that. This game has an entire language. I guess it actually also literally has a language in the game, but I'm talking about the language the game speaks to the player. And the language is in these diamonds and squares and triangles and all that. It's symbols that you see that you are told by vibrating controller, this symbol is important. If you ever see it, go to it and do something. And then you start seeing them in just random places, and you click on them and stuff happens. And over time, you just kind of get a feel for what exactly they mean. So we're gonna go to the northern biome now. You can see the red city outskirts. Obviously something happened with the city that was very bad, because there's red everywhere. Real quick, I gotta check something. So in the regular game that I played, I got all but 3 of the modules, which are the little things you pull out of the ground. I got all but 3 of them, and one of the ones I could not find was in this region. And so, if I do see it, I'm going to try to find it. But that was not it. Also, I like the character design, like the monster design. One thing that does perplex me a little bit about the game, I've noticed sometimes the sword slashes are extra slow. Like, usually they're this speed, but sometimes they'll be slower, and I'm not sure why. It's possible there's a mechanic at play, I don't know. But I've played it for quite a long time, and so if it's not obvious by that amount of time, then that's kind of obnoxious. That move is fun. So now we get to the next biome. There's that deer, which is kind of fun. You can't follow the deer. That would have been a cool little thing. I mean, they already have tons of cool little things in here. Would have been cool if when the deer runs away, it leads you somewhere. But it just kind of goes off screen. And the birds again. I can go over there. I'm pretty sure it's just like a little, one of the little golden things. Talk to this guy. Kind of mage. All the way up there. Also, do you see I love this. Little touches like this. This thing right here, when you get up here, I can't show you in this New Game Plus. When you get up here though, that thing is actually there. That's in the background. And it's really cool when you first find that and it's like, whoa, and then you look at the map and you're like, hey, wait a second, he's on the map. So that's why I'm saying, it's like, it's kind of a vague map where you're like, I don't really know what's going on, but it looks interesting, and then you go see it in person and it's like, oh, that's exactly what's on the map. very interesting to me. Oh, one other thing that they do to help you to guide players in the direction they need to go, and this is a really cool touch. You may have noticed it already, or you may already know it, but these little squares, exactly like this one right here, those indicate that if you go that direction, there is something. Usually it indicates that you can go off screen in that direction, but almost every single secret in the game, there are several that don't have it, but almost every single secret in the game has one of these little squares to let you know it's there. And I think that's really cool, because it makes it so that you don't have to be mindlessly checking every single edge of every single object in the entire game. Like, I don't have to go here and then, you know what I mean? I can just kind of go in a direction and just keep my eye out for the symbol that I know means, hey, there's a secret here. And that's where we get again into the language of the game. And this game speaks its language very well. The one mild critique I have about these little squares is that the trees also have the squares in them. And so that can be really confusing sometimes. Like, wait, is that a tree or is it a secret? I don't know. And technically, I guess they do look a little bit different, so you can tell them apart, but that's thrown me off quite a few times. But not too big of a deal. And then here, so we see our first, well, not the first one. You may remember there was a door like this in the town, the main town. These doors are just kind of scattered throughout, and at this point in the game, you don't know what you don't have, but obviously you need to get, what is that, 8, 9, 10? 10 of those little, I don't know, U's? The little lines, you have to get 10 of those to get in. Currently, we don't know where those would be. Most of those are scattered throughout secrets in the game. And so eventually you may run across one, see it, and one of those, it gives you a screen where you gain a green square where one of these red squares would be. And then you can see, oh, okay, that's how I do it. So that's another symbol in the language of this game that they use to teach you where to go. I don't know if you could tell, but my sword went slowly there, and I'm not sure why. Again, it goes to, don't really know exactly what makes the sword go slowly sometimes. And that's one of my, like, I love this game. One of my slight complaints about it is sometimes the controls feel really wonky, and I don't know if it's because, like, I don't know if it's a skill issue or if it's a programming issue. Like, sometimes maybe if they're doing it per frame, then if there's a tiny frame rate lag, then maybe that could make them go slower, make attacks move slower. It might be a timing issue, so it might just be that I'm supposed to hit it with a certain timing, but that doesn't seem to apply. Like, if I do different timings, this is me mashing it, and this is me going slowly. Like, I can slow it down, but usually the slashes go at the same speed regardless. So I'm not entirely sure. Point being, that's one thing that I don't know. It might just be a skill issue, but it's a mild complaint I have about the game. Also, see that little, it's past the aimer, but see the little square on the ledge there? That tells me I can get there, but I can eyeball this until I can't fully reach there from here. You probably have to go around that way to get there. But I wanted to show you more of the mountain, because I think climbing the mountain, so it is just cool. Yeah, see, there's the guy. There's the guy, is it, hold on. Where am I? I'm here. So, and actually, there's a good example of the map, too. So I was in the town, I kind of went up, probably right around here, going over here, would be my guess, somewhere around here. I don't see that guy on the map. He might be this guy. I think that's this guy. Because if you look, he's near the top of the mountain. Yeah. So that's this guy. And it's just cool. You see these, and then you see them in the actual world. Which, I love that. But yeah, this whole section is all about climbing the mountain. That animation just makes me happy. Oops. But yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and go back to town and show you the third biome now. But I think my love for this game can be summarized in the fact that they have their language within the game, and part of the game is learning its language. And I just think that's so cool, and I wish more games would do that. Because if you know a game's language, you gain some mastery over it. And am I the best player? No, not by any means. There are lots of better players than me. But I feel emotionally like I'm a master of this game because I understand its language, and when the game wants to tell me something, I understand what it's telling me. Now, I do still sometimes jump off cliffs for no reason, but, you know, we all just do our best. It's funny, those little dudes are super easy to kill, but in this mode where I only have 2 health, they are a lot more stressful. So that's another interesting thing too, is how you can turn dials to make the game feel different based on how much health you give the player. You can see that was a secret down there. I'm just kind of showing you guys around right now. Oh, this is one thing that weirded me out. I don't know about you, but when I got here, I thought this was like a pit. And it wasn't until I moved here that I realized it was grass. It's like, I don't know, blue or purple grass. I don't need that. But yeah, I thought it was a pit and I thought I was about to fall in. And you can see here's a little square with a secret. Again, super cool touch. If they didn't have that, can you imagine trying to realize this was not just scenery if that square wasn't there? It'd be possible, and a lot of people probably would, or some people. But for me, it's like, it makes it just hard enough to find this stuff to where you are finding a secret, but without being so hard that almost nobody finds it. And you feel cool for finding it, but you actually do get to find it. Also, the music is just beautiful. Just beautiful. Pirate Guy is the hardest boss in the entire game. At least for me. Yeah, I love those little conversations where you get to see a cool picture and they give you a little information. Visual storytelling is also just one of my favorite things. You can see really good examples of visual storytelling in like old Pixar shorts, where they might make a few noises, but they don't really say words, and it's all body language, or the first 10 minutes of Up. Yeah, see, I was mashing the A button and nothing happened there, and I'm not sure why. It's like sometimes I get locked in an animation for a really long time, and I don't know why. And again, this could just be a skill issue, but it feels more like the controls are unresponsive, which is why I bring it up. Like that one worked. That worked. Oops. There we go. Ah. This game's tough, which is one reason I consider it somewhat Souls-like. I think the difficulty is tuned in a very similar way to Dark Souls games. Also, I just love the scenery. Very evocative. This is also the one biome where it's a little harder to find a lot of the secrets, because a lot of them don't actually, I don't know if they just made this place first, but yeah, you see that one didn't have the little square. I don't know if it's just because they made this biome first and didn't want to redo all the art, which is totally fair, or if they just wanted it to be extra sneaky, or what. But for some reason, this biome doesn't have the little hints where the secrets are, and I found that to be actually really obnoxious, especially because I had gotten used to them. And because of that, this is my least favorite biome by quite a bit. Not just that, there's a few other things, like I hate fighting dogs in video games. Just, dogs are the worst. But, yeah. find the teleporter pad real quick. There's some ribcage. Yeah, here's the dogs. Yeah. Yeah, I just hate dogs in video games as enemies. They're there to be annoying, and they always feel cheesy. Can't see them because of the ribcage. But you get the idea. Also, fun fact, I think my friend who I was talking about earlier, I'm pretty sure he started on this biome, which is by far the hardest biome. Which I thought was very funny because he was already kind of frustrated from the tutorial. He had a couple of unfortunate things happen on it. And he was kind of frustrated, and then he goes straight to the hardest biome, and I'm like, no! And that is one critique I will also give. Not that it's a huge critique at all. I think this game is fantastic. But if we're looking at things that we could improve or lessons to learn in our own game, I think one other thing is it's nice to give the player some idea of where to go. Like, they've got the 4 arrows, but that doesn't tell you where to start. So a lot of times, like for example, when I first played this, I started toward the south, which is the one that's blocked off, which isn't a big deal, but you have to go kind of far before you realize it's blocked off. And I remember getting down there, and I was ready, and then I'm like, oh, okay. And it's just another barrier. So maybe some way to indicate that this was blocked off or something, or just have one of these glow slightly to indicate that that's the first direction you need to go in. You don't have to go in any direction or particular order. But this biome, the western biome, is so much harder than all of the other ones that I really think they should have. I don't know, again, I don't know exactly what went into the development of it. Maybe it was like a first draft and then they decided to learned from that and made the other ones more, I don't want to say easy exactly, easier for sure, but more natural to progress through. The progression in the western biome is just very, it's kind of clunky. It's very maze-like. There's not a lot of stuff telling you which direction to go. There aren't the little squares by most of the secrets. You're very much on your own and kind of stranded. These 2 biomes, they have a lot more of the quality of life improvements that just make navigation a little bit easier. And when I say easier, I'm not looking for a non-hard experience. I'm just looking for an experience where the hard part is the gameplay, not how hard it is to think about the game. I want low friction for my players. Low friction, high difficulty is what I generally tend to shoot for. And obviously you can shoot for whatever you want for your own game. So these are just my personal opinions on this. But as far as lessons we can take away, maybe a little bit of extra guidance at this very first part to let the player know that these 2 biomes are going to be a lot more friendly than this biome. In fact, I think now this might be a taste thing, but I think this biome is probably the easiest, and then this one, and then this one. And I think this one I'm not even including because you just have to beat all the other ones first, so it goes last no matter what. But even though you can beat these 3 in any order, I think a very small amount of implication that this one should be done first would go a really long way toward welcoming more players in. And I think the core lesson to take away is to take away from this game as a whole, that is think about the language that your game speaks. And specifically, think about how you want to communicate that language and how you want the player to be able to absorb it. And when you're making the language of your game, I think using as few words, so to speak, as possible is good. And I think that's one thing this game does very well for the most part, is you've got very few words in their language, in their game language. You've got diamonds, you've got parts of diamonds, and then you've got the squares. Let me see if I can find them. Yeah, the squares that are on the equipment screen, not the map screen, which lets you know they have something to do with equipment. They're on the bottom right here. So you've got the squares here that look kind of like computer chips. You've got these diamonds that you know vibrate with power because it makes the controller vibrate, and there's also like a pulsing sound going on, and they glow like whoom whoom. So you know there's power in those, and they're very, very important because every time you see a diamond, everything is centered on it, even in the beginning movie clip. So you know diamonds are important, and parts of diamonds are important, and they appear literally everywhere throughout the game. The city is a diamond, this part's a diamond, there's diamonds within it, and each diamond is broken into pieces. You go over here, and these diamonds, I don't know if you saw this, so this is the thing I pulled, the module or whatever it is that I pulled up out of the ground. That is also a diamond. It's a diamond that gives you a part of this diamond. So diamonds are very important. We know that squares are special. They're not important to the story necessarily, but they are special because we see squares in our currency, and we see squares whenever there's a secret to be found, almost always. There's a square that lets you know there's a secret over here. And then we know there are also weird symbols. Let me see if I can find ones for examples. Yeah. There's also weird symbols. You see a key. We all know what a key is, so we know it's unlockable. And then we see these little U symbols, which they make me think of the spacebar symbol on some computers. So we see that symbol, and we know that's some weird thing that we should find. And then there are a couple others, but for the most part, that's everything. And all the communication in this game is with diamonds, squares, triangles, and the occasional key. And that's really cool. It makes the language very efficient, and because you're repeating it all the time and seeing it all the time, you get very used to it very quickly, as long as you're willing to persevere a little bit through the first stages of learning it, which is like any skill, which is like any language. So I think that is the main lesson from Hyperlight Drifter. What is your game's language? Make it efficient. Use as few words as possible to convey as much as possible, as long as each word's meaning is still clear. But yeah, this has been Hyperlight Drifter. Thank you for joining me on this. Let me know what you think in the comments below if you want to see more things like this where we kind of just go through and I show you cool video games that I like, and we talk about game design aspects and lessons that we can learn from them. We can do that. If you would rather me just play a game normally and talk about it while I play it, let me know in the comments below. And whatever kind of content you guys want to see, let me know so I can make that kind of content. In the meantime, thank you for joining me on this. I am excited to do more of these videos, and I hope you'll join me then too. I am hopefully going to be releasing videos every Tuesday and every Friday. We'll see how that goes. Life is crazy, but you know, see what we do. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you want to see more stuff like this. And I will see you in the next video. I hope you have a wonderful day.